a young man named Shinogi Inumata expressing his deep dissatisfaction with the world around him. He finds the noisy crowds and the mundane routines of daily life sickening. The ticking of his alarm clock serves as an annoying reminder that he must wake up and rejoin a society he doesn't understand. As he gets out of bed, he feels a sense of dread about having to go through the motions once again. The manga's title, Yaergnacht of the Dark Moon, featuring a beautiful woman with long, dark hair and piercing purple eyes. Back in his room, Shinogi lies on the floor consumed by despair. He casually wishes for death, admitting that while he has no specific tragic reason, he feels that life simply sucks. Shinogi is seen rushing through a train station, clearly late for something important. He makes a desperate dash for a train, but just as the doors are closing, he trips and falls hard onto the platform. He realizes with frustration that he is now definitely going to be late. As he picks himself up, he notices a bizarre and massive monstrous head lying on the tracks below. He reacts not with fear but with tired annoyance, seeing it as just another piece of bad luck in his already frustrating day. Shinogi reminds himself of a crucial rule he lives by, which is to never look these creatures directly in their eyes. He believes he can get by as long as he avoids eye contact, but the monster's eye suddenly opens and it seems to speak to him, saying that he was seen. The creature then lunges towards him with its enormous mouth open, and Shinogi can only grimace in resignation. However, the monster is suddenly sent flying past him and crashes into the distance, causing a commotion among the other commuters. Shinogi is merely annoyed by this further delay, as he only has 7 minutes left to get to a job interview. We learn more about Shinogi's past as he reflects on his situation. He is an 18-year-old high school dropout, though he was once a star basketball player at a top school and the son of the now-deceased heads of the powerful Inumata corporate group. He refers to the strange beings he sees as ghosts because they terrify him. He knows that if you make eye contact with them, they can possess and devour you, completely erasing you from existence. At his job interview, the receptionist asks if he is all right. He thinks about his secret ability, the power to cut and destroy these ghosts with just a touch of his right hand. He doesn't understand how this power works and has found that it has never brought him any good fortune. He has possessed this ability ever since he first started seeing the strange creatures. During the interview itself, he sees another ghost appear behind one of the interviewers. Deciding it's a waste of time, he abruptly gets up and leaves, leaving the confused interviewers behind. Walking away from the failed interview, Shinogi berates himself for his foolish behavior and his suicidal thoughts resurface with intensity. As he walks through the city, he sees a beautiful woman with her boyfriend and feels a pang of envy. He remembers a time when he had everything, talent, money, and status, but none of it brought him any joy. Now, as an unemployed young man, he is stuck with the same feeling of emptiness. His dark thoughts lead him to believe that death is his only remaining option. He then suddenly realizes that it has become night, and as he turns, he sees a mysterious and beautiful woman dressed in black standing in a nearby alley. She has an otherworldly presence, looking so out of place that it seems she doesn't belong in this world at all. When she turns her head, her captivating eyes with strange, spiraling pupils lock with his. Shinogi panics instantly, realizing she is another one of the ghosts, and that he has made the fatal mistake of looking directly into her eyes. He knows that once eye contact is made, these beings will hunt their target relentlessly until they are dead. Deciding that he has no other choice, Shinogi resolves to kill her first before she can kill him. He lunges at her, swiping with his powered right hand, but she gracefully dodges his first and second attacks. He is shocked that she can react so quickly but feels a surge of relief when he believes he has finally landed a fatal blow, thinking he managed to kill her first. Back in the safety of his apartment, Shinogi is still shaken by the encounter. He has never seen a ghost like her before. Exhausted and overwhelmed by the day's events, he decides the best thing to do is to forget everything and go to sleep. He wakes up around midnight feeling hungry and stumbles to his kitchen for a snack, only to find the very same woman he thought he had killed, now wearing an apron and cooking at his stove. He is utterly stunned and confused. In his shock, he realizes she is somehow alive and casually preparing a meal in his shabby apartment. She turns to him calmly and asks if he is awake. Shinogi falls backward in terror, now convinced that this must mean he is dead. The woman finishes cooking and tells him that breakfast is almost ready, referring to him as her soulmate, as she presents him with a large and delicious-looking meal. As they sit down to eat, he hesitantly asks how she could have possibly survived. She explains that she did indeed die after he took her head and her heart, but her body possesses the ability to regenerate and come back to life. Shinogi is outraged by this revelation, shouting that it's completely unfair for her to have such an ability. She calmly tells him not to apologize for killing her and explains that it took her over half a day to regenerate because he had used such a powerful attack. In fact, she says he should be proud of his strength. Shinogi finds himself feeling strangely pleased by her praise, even though he knows she is a monster. He begins to eat the food and is amazed by how delicious it is, wondering why she would cook for him instead of seeking revenge. He then asks her what she meant by calling him her soulmate. She states very directly that because he was the one who killed her, she has decided that he will be her life partner. Shinogi is completely bewildered by this logic and argues that she should be angry with him, not proposing marriage. She clarifies her reasoning, explaining that she became curious about him because he is the only human who has ever managed to kill her. Even beings of her own kind have never accomplished such a feat. She declares that she fell in love with his strength and wants to keep him as her husband. Shinogi is floored, believing she is grossly overestimating him since he sees himself as a weakling. His mind begins to wander, and he can't help but notice how incredibly attractive she is, which leads to him briefly imagining a more intimate relationship with her before he snaps himself out of it, chastising himself for his thoughts. He tries to reason with her, questioning how a weak human like him could ever satisfy a special being like her, and he makes the mistake of comparing her to the other man-eating monsters he has encountered. Her demeanor changes instantly. A terrifying pressure emanates from her, forcing him to his knees as she commands him to kneel. She warns him never to compare her to those cheap tools again. The sheer force of her power kills him repeatedly in a matter of seconds. When he recovers, she tells him that he clearly knows nothing and that she will explain everything. The creatures he calls monsters are, in fact, divine extermination devices created by beings known as the Highlands. She asserts that these devices are far beneath her, and the comparison is an insult. To prove her point, she removes her clothes, revealing that while her body is a perfect replica of a human's, a portion of her torso and leg are still in the process of regenerating, appearing as a dark, incomplete mass. She explains that with this new understanding he must now learn his role as her partner, which is to become the savior of mankind, whom she refers to as God's defective products. She recounts a brief history of the world, explaining that God created humans but then, fearing their potential, created the Highlands to erase them. She reveals that she was once one of these Highlands but is now opposed to them. There are 6 remaining enemy apostles who continue to slaughter humans, and she shows him their images. She proposes that the 2 of them will work together to wipe out these enemies and save the world. Overwhelmed by this massive info dump and proposition, Shinogi slams his fist on the table and tells her to give him a break. At that exact moment, the wall of his apartment is destroyed by a new attacker. She calmly identifies it as a puppet. A giant mechanical creature appears, and she names it Balalaika, a higher-class model of the puppets. Shinogi begs her to defeat it, but she refuses, stating that she needs his answer first. The puppet launches a powerful energy attack as she asks him to choose. Will he fight with her and save the world, or will he surrender? Shinogi yells that he is just an idiot and has no clue what she is talking about. He reflects on his life of talent and hard work, which never brought him any understanding or happiness. He confesses that the only thing he truly understood from her long explanation was how attractive she looked while naked, and he declares that he is not cut out to be a hero. He bows his head in defeat, saying that someone like him should just die and that he is not the strong person she thinks he is. As the puppet's attack is about to crush him, the woman, Yaergnacht, calmly says, "I open the door." A massive leg made of pure energy appears and shatters the attack. She then leans down and kisses Shinogi, telling him to open his eyes and stop letting his own feelings of worthlessness dictate the fate of the world. She declares that from now on, she is his god, and he will obey and love her. She tells him that if he hates the world so much, he should simply turn it upside down. Her words finally break through his despair. With newfound resolve, Shinogi screams that he will fight. Pleased, Yaergnacht reintroduces herself properly as Yaergnacht Finsternis, a powerful sovereign being. She then declares that from this day forward, she is also his wife, and only he will hold the key to her heart. As her final request, she asks him to make a vow never to die and leave her behind. After a brief pause, Shinogi mentions that he is unemployed and asks if that's a problem. She tells him to stop saying stupid things or she'll kill him again. Finally, Shinogi looks at her and swears his vow. In a city reduced to rubble, sparrows flew amidst the destruction as a young man named Kuramodori inwardly reflected on his struggles, feeling that his inability to secure employment rendered his life meaningless and constantly blaming himself for every misfortune. Suddenly, a mysterious long-haired woman appeared, casually crushing a can and musing about her own perceived failures, stating that she understands such sentiments but promptly forgets them moments later. Kuramodori, visibly uncomfortable, inquired about her intentions, with a wide shot of the devastated cityscape highlighting their bleak surroundings. Yael then calmly explained that she had chosen him because he was the most suitable nearby toy, through whom she could understand the reason for her sudden loss of power, a first-time experience for her. Kuramodori, clearly distressed, resignedly accepted blame for her weakened state, questioning the cost of a human life and offering his limbs in exchange for forgiveness, which only elicited an exasperated expression from Yael, who then dismissed him as incompetent as he collapsed to the ground. She then inquired if he was all right, and despite his shock, she merely stated she was a little tired, because, as Kuramodori suddenly realized, she had been quartered by him and had fought for his sake against an unseen foe, prompting her to instruct him to massage her shoulders. Kneeling in confusion, Kuramodori questioned the strange request given their dire circumstances, internally expressing his apprehension about touching her beautiful shoulders, yet he resolved to perform the task with all his might, treating it with utmost seriousness. After the massage, Yael declared herself invigorated and full of energy, instructing him to continue the practice in the future, to which a surprised Kuramodori could only assent. He then anxiously asked about his destroyed home, and Yael casually responded by snapping her fingers, explaining she would use just a little power, causing the surrounding debris to turn black as a dark portal, identified as the door to the darkness, materialized. She elucidated her ability to make things disappear by acknowledging their non-existence, and to exist herself by recognizing her own presence, confirming her mastery over reality. With another snap, a pristine, modern apartment building appeared in place of the ruins, specifically named Co-op Natsuhara, leaving Kuramodori utterly astonished by the instant creation and her ability to effortlessly fly him over a kilometer in an instant. Yael then calmly apologized for her previous rudeness, now referring to him as her partner, and clarified that if he were treated as a mere extra he would perish, asserting his far weaker existence compared to hers, yet she excused her initial rough handling as it was her first experience. She noted the surprising fragility of humans, then gently reassured him that there was no need to apologize for being called husband, instructing him to firmly wrap his arms around her as she adjusted her hold to prevent him from falling, pulling him close against her chest. Pressed intimately against her, Kuramodori found her chest impossibly soft, a sensation unlike anything from this world, feeling utterly overwhelmed. Upon their arrival at a tall, modern building, Yael declared it her home and invited him inside, showing him the washroom and advising him to clean himself. Kuramodori was awestruck by the spacious and luxurious interior, realizing that this mansion, entirely hers, was far beyond anything he had ever known, contrasting sharply with his old, dilapidated house, yet he remained bewildered as to why she had brought him there, despite acknowledging the lack of options at his former residence. Yael then revealed that the entire opulent space, including the impressive glass-walled bathroom, was now also his to use freely, a declaration that sent a wave of internal panic through Kuramodori, who perceived her intentions as a dangerous landmine. Yael, however, simply smiled, stating that she had been a little particular about the design and found it pleasing. Kuramodori, still reeling, questioned why it was now his, and Yael explained it was because she considered him her partner, further shocking him when she confirmed he would be living there. Kuramodori became utterly flustered, demanding if she was truly serious about him, a self-proclaimed virgin, living with her, and if her earlier perverted experiment was actually going to materialize. Yael calmly corrected him, clarifying that saving humanity was merely a bonus to her true desires, and then, unexpectedly, revealed that she too was a virgin. She explained that she once pursued a high ideal, forgetting everything else, which led her to propose that he be her wife, because she yearned to truly understand another person and confront her own desires when the time was right. Yael concluded by stating that everything was fine and had been entirely her decision, telling him not to concern himself with her desires, and that, ultimately, he was to follow and rely on her, as these two conditions could coexist. When she directly asked if he understood, a flustered Kuramodori managed a yes. Yael acknowledged that her words might have been too profound for him to fully grasp, but expressed relief that he understood at least a little, revealing that his rejection would have led to a dangerous outcome. She then smiled sweetly, declaring him quite cute, leaving Kuramodori completely flustered once again. The story then shifted to a different location, the Heavenly Realm, where a character named Noah Wendy Flyheight, an agent of Yaergnacht, cheerfully tapped her bare foot, playfully humming as she prepared for action. She enthusiastically declared her burning smile, and my style, unstoppable, urging everyone to give their all, only to then comically realize she had forgotten the lyrics to a song. Noah then delivered a powerful kick, while a silent, shadowy figure observed. She then furiously yelled at the figure, identified as Matsuganida, calling him seriously lame, but he remained impassive. Another character, Bridget Schultz, an agent of Isekai'd, then appeared in a military-style uniform, expressing her utter disgust for human-made songs, stating that the very thought made her skin crawl. Noah, however, playfully poked Bridget's cheek, finding Bridget's complaints rather amusing, and Bridget responded with a curt "Mph." Noah continued to tease Bridget, remarking on how long it had been since they last met, while Bridget remained reserved. Noah then dismissed Bridget's seriousness, assuring her that she understood and told her to be good if she grasped the situation. Noah then abruptly rescinded her previous apology, declaring it a lie and calling Bridget too creepy, stating that her words made no sense and proclaiming that she would tread on Bridget. This infuriated Bridget, who screamed, threatening to kill her, while an idiom about preaching to deaf ears illustrated the futility of arguing with Bridget. Noah then executed a series of quick, precise movements, while Bridget, Noah, and a third character engaged in a dynamic battle. A new character, Azaka Harmony, identified as a great saint, appeared, smiling warmly and stating that serious fighting was forbidden for them, urging them to make a promise not to fight, which surprised the others. The intense battle continued, with Bridget and Noah exchanging blows, as Azaka attempted to intervene. Noah, still laughing, fell to the ground, calling Bridget a master who couldn't read the mood, and Bridget angrily told her to die, while Azaka apologized profusely. Azaka, with clasped hands, then lamented her love's perpetual unrequited nature, begging God to punish her, as Noah looked on with amusement. Azaka then cheerfully announced that half of was complete. A shocking holographic image then appeared, showing Yal, the main female character, apparently dead, with details like date of death, 20XX, June 9th, time, 7:40 p.m., cause of death, head/arm, and cause, unknown, confirming that she had died once. Anemo, now wearing glasses and working on a laptop, announced that they would proceed to the main topic. A close-up showed Bridget's intensely focused eye, Azaka's tearful face, and Noah's maniacal grin. Anemo explained the details of Yael's death, emphasizing that her power had been halved. Bridget reacted with disbelief, calling it unbelievable and lamenting the punishment for such an impious woman. Bridget furiously reacted to the traitor, who had died before her, demanding to know who was responsible, while Anemo stated that the investigation was still ongoing. Anemo, holding a playing card, then stated that if it was a one-on-one fight, it would be fine to just settle it. She then added that there was another notice from the creator, implying a new directive, which made Azaka clasp her hands in despair. Anemo then looked at the other agents, asking if everyone would do it, holding up a card. The agents reacted with determination, with Anemo revealing her card to be a 6. Noah reacted with a surprised, Azaka looked distressed, seemingly with a 7 card, and Bridget angrily displayed a 1 card, yelling in frustration. Noah, however, happily revealed her 13 card. Azaka, now cheerful, exclaimed a company name, Otsu Marisuizan, suggesting she was ready to proceed. She then shifted to despair, shouting about the despair after hope and calling out to God, while Bridget yelled for someone to know their shame. Bridget then asked Anemo how she felt about fighting Noah, who was weakened but still a cheat, but Anemo remained expressionless. Azaka expressed regret at having wanted to finish, but accepted that since she lost, there was nothing she could do, while Bridget suggested they should break something. Anemo had a pensive expression, and Noah cheerfully stated that if it was excited Noah, she could do it, asking if it was too much fun, as she skipped away. Noah then confirmed that Yael, the godlike figure, had indeed been weakened, confirming that Yael's power loss was known to them. Noah then declared she was flipping the switch, her eyes wide with excitement as she jumped from a height, yelling, "I'm the one," and charging forward with a powerful punch. The final images showed a traditional statue standing amidst a completely devastated landscape, with Noah confidently flexing her arms, and the chapter concluded with, "To be continued in the next issue."